Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. She slid them across the table like they were takeout menus. Let's make it interesting, she said, sipping her coffee like it was any other morning. Sign them, and I'll cook dinner for once. There was a strange playfulness in her voice, that sharp, smug kind that says she thinks she's smarter than you. Divorce papers. She thought it was a prank. A little joke. Something to shake me out of what she called Lowell mode. I didn't laugh. I didn't even ask why. I just reached for the pen, clicked it twice, and signed them. Neatly. No hesitation. My hand didn't even shake. And that's when I heard her coffee mug stop midair. Her voice cracked like a dropped glass. Wait. I was joking. So I picked up the pen, turned it in my fingers, and slid it slowly back to her side. No words. Just the pen. The kitchen went dead silent. The fridge made that low hum it always does around 9 a.m., and outside, someone's dog barked. But inside, it was like something died. She stood there staring at the ink, like if she stared long enough, it'd vanish. Like if she blinked, I'd laugh and say, gotcha. But I didn't, because I already knew the joke was on me. You don't joke with legal documents unless you've already stopped respecting the person on the other side of the table. And what she didn't know, what she still doesn't know, is that I'd found the hotel receipt 2 nights earlier. Not mine. Not ours. Hers. With 2 glasses of wine, room service for 2, and a name signed at checkout. Callum. Not Greg. Not Brian. Callum. I hadn't said a word about it. Until now. This isn't just a story about divorce papers. This is a story about what happens when you dare someone to walk away, and they do. She didn't reach for the pen. She didn't reach for me. She just sat there, still as the papers in front of her, eyes darting like maybe she could find a version of this morning where the joke didn't land like a grenade. I didn't speak. Not yet. I let her sit with it. That heavy silence, the one she always filled with noise before. Relax, Lowell, or don't be so sensitive, or my favorite. God, it was just a joke. But this time there were no follow-up lines. Just her breath, short and uncertain, and mine, trembling because I didn't want to cry in front of her again. Not this time. She finally whispered, I thought you'd laugh. I almost did. I almost laughed so hard I'd choke. Not because it was funny, but because of how absurd it was that she still didn't get it. After everything. After the hotel bill I found under the passenger seat. After the charger that didn't fit any of our devices. After that weird Sunday, she missed her train and didn't come home till noon with that same perfume I never bought her. Lowell, say something, she pleaded. Her voice cracked again, but now it sounded smaller, not smug, not in control. She looked scared, but I wasn't ready to give her relief. Not yet. I had lived in that fear for too long. So I stood up, calm, measured, like I had practiced this. I reached for my keys, my phone, and paused by the door. And that's when I said it. Not loud, but clearly. You put those papers on the table like a game. So let's play. Your turn. Then I walked out. She didn't follow. I think she thought I was bluffing. That I'd be back by lunch, or after my little tantrum cooled off. But instead of driving to work, I drove to my brother's empty condo. The one he hadn't sold yet. The one with no Wi-Fi, no couch, just a mattress on the floor and a working fridge. That night, I ate cold spaghetti from a Tupperware and stared at the ceiling for hours. I wasn't angry. I was empty. And then my phone buzzed. A message from her. 3 words. Where are you? I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know anymore. I woke up on that mattress with my back aching and the same question looping through my head like static. Did she really think I wouldn't sign them? The light coming through the blinds felt foreign. No dog barking outside. No scent of burnt toast or the citrus shampoo. She always left the cap off. Just quiet. And in that quiet, I realized I hadn't just left our house. I'd stepped out of a role I'd been playing for years. The one where I was the forgiving husband, the soft one, the guy who'd flinch when she rolled her eyes. That version of me would have crawled back with flowers. This version just stared at the ceiling. My phone had 5 unread texts. All from her. Claire, can we talk? Where are you? I'm worried. This isn't funny anymore. Lowell, please come home. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to punish her. I just didn't believe her. Not after what I saw on her laptop last month when she asked me to print her flight itinerary. She forgot to close a window. A chain of messages between her and Callum, a man whose name she never once mentioned, discussing a trip without baggage. I scrolled in silence while she showered, reading every pixel of betrayal. "He's too soft to leave," she wrote. "He folds when I blink." I didn't confront her then. I just closed the tab and printed the document like nothing happened. But the joke she made, those papers, that was the blink I needed. Later that afternoon, I drove back to our neighborhood, not to return, but to sit in the car and watch. I parked 3 houses down. Her car was still in the driveway. Curtains drawn. Porch light on even though it was daylight. A part of me hoped to see her pacing the front window, phone pressed to her face, trying to reach me. Instead, I saw Callum's car pull in. Smooth. Confident. Like he'd done it before. He didn't knock. She opened the door before he even got to the steps. That moment didn't break me. What broke me was that she was still wearing her wedding ring. I watched her laugh as she pulled him inside. She still hadn't noticed I signed the copy labeled final agreement, not the blank draft she thought was the joke. I dropped the real one at our lawyer's office that same morning. My name on every dotted line. And this time, I wasn't the one she got to fold. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying that image in my mind. Claire laughing on the porch as she let Callum in, like she was hosting a dinner party, not betraying a marriage. It wasn't the first time. The ease of it told me everything I needed to know. The familiarity in the way she leaned into him. The way she didn't even glance around to see if anyone might be watching. She didn't care. Or maybe she thought I was already too far gone to matter. Either way, she was wrong. The next morning, I finally responded to her text. Just one line. "You left a window open." I knew she'd panic. I wanted her to. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was watching her unravel. The power shift wasn't loud or angry. It was silent and devastating. That laptop window she forgot to close revealed more than just a fling. It showed me how long I'd been treated like a background character in my own marriage. They called me safe. They joked about my routines, my loyalty, even the way I ironed her work clothes every Sunday like clockwork. She texted back within minutes. "What window?" Then, "Lowell, what are you talking about?" And finally, "Please, can we just talk face to face?" But I wasn't going back there to talk. Instead, I went to my bank. When we got married, Claire insisted on joint everything. "What's mine is yours," she said with a giggle, the kind that sounded so genuine I actually believed her. Turns out, that's easy to say when you're planning to bleed someone dry. What she didn't know was that I'd been quietly separating accounts for months, since the first moment something felt off. I moved my half into a new account under my name only. Canceled the shared credit cards. Not because I was preparing for a divorce, but because something inside me no longer trusted the woman I once vowed to protect. The banker asked if I wanted her notified. I said no. Let her find out when the next charge gets declined. And then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called her mother. Claire always said her mom hated drama, but when I explained, calmly and without bitterness, what her daughter had done, the line went silent. I expected anger, maybe denial, but instead, her mother sighed, long and heavy, and said, "I was afraid of this." That sentence didn't shock me. What did was what followed. "You should talk to her sister." Sister? The one who cut contact 5 years ago. Now I knew this mess ran deeper than just Callum. I hadn't spoken to Claire's sister, Meredith, in over 5 years. Their falling out had always been a sore spot no one was allowed to touch. Every time I'd bring it up, Claire would dismiss it with some vague comment like, "She's toxic," or "You don't know the half of it." What I didn't realize back then was that Meredith was never the problem. She was the only one willing to call Claire out. And now I needed to hear what she knew. I called the number her mother gave me and expected a wall of cold silence. Instead, Meredith answered on the second ring and said, "I was wondering how long it'd take you." She didn't ask how I was. She didn't sound surprised, just tired. We met at a small diner just outside the city. She brought a box. I didn't ask what was in it right away. Instead, we sat in a booth while the waitress poured us coffee, and Meredith stared at me like she was trying to decide if I deserved the truth or if I was just another fool orbiting Claire's manipulations. Eventually, she pushed the box across the table. Inside were printed photos, screenshots, even a spiral notebook with pages marked in yellow highlighter. "What is this?" I asked. "It's your marriage," she said flatly, "or the version of it you weren't allowed to see." The photos were from years ago. Claire on trips she told me were for team building, parties I was never invited to, dinners with men she never named. One picture, dated 2 summers ago, showed her wrapped around a man I didn't recognize, lips grazing his cheek, his hand sliding down her back in a way no colleague ever would. Another had her and Callum. Yes, the same Callum, arm in arm at some rooftop bar. Timestamped. While I was at home fixing a leaking sink, she said could wait. My stomach flipped. She's always been like this, Meredith said, not with bitterness, but with pity. She gets bored. She needs control. She tests people just to see if they'll leave. And I didn't leave. Not when she insulted my routines. Not when she flirted with strangers at weddings. Not even when she made me feel like a guest in my own home. I stayed. I folded. I gave her every chance. But she never expected me to sign those papers. She joked about divorce because she thought it was safe, Meredith added. She thought you were too scared to ever walk. I wasn't scared anymore. I was awake. And for the first time, I realized the most dangerous thing wasn't her betrayal. It was how easily I'd accepted it for so long. By the time I got back to our street, the neighborhood felt foreign. The same maple tree leaned toward the cracked sidewalk. The same wind chimes hung on Mrs. Dillard's porch. But nothing looked right anymore. Our house used to feel like something I built. Now it looked like something I barely survived. I didn't park in the driveway. I stopped 3 blocks down, turned off the engine, and just sat there staring at my own front door like it belonged to someone else. I wasn't planning to go inside. I just wanted to see if she'd noticed the man she joked about divorcing was watching her from a distance. But as the hours passed, the lights came on and off, silhouettes passed through the living room, and still, nothing. Not a single glance through the window. Not a single sign she even thought about me. It was Claire's birthday the next day. I wondered if Callum would take her somewhere fancy, or if they'd sit on the couch I bought last fall and toast to a freedom she never earned. A part of me wanted to storm inside and confront them, shout every name, every lie, every photo her sister gave me. But instead, I drove to the office. Not to work. To print something. It was the last copy of the finalized divorce papers. I added a sticky note to the top. This version isn't a joke. Then I took a manila envelope from the front desk drawer, one just like the one she used when this all started, and slipped the papers inside. No flowers. No note filled with heartbreak. Just cold clarity. That night, I let myself into the house using the spare key taped under the gutter. The dog was gone, probably staying with her mom. Good. I didn't want him caught in this mess. I placed the envelope on the dining table exactly where she had put hers days ago. Then I walked into the bedroom to grab the last of my things. That's when I noticed something odd. Her phone was open on the bed. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the screen lit up when I brushed past it, and there it was. A draft message. Unsent. Addressed to me. Just 6 words. I don't know who I am. I froze. Not because it changed anything, but because, for the first time, I realized she hadn't been mocking me with those papers. She was mocking herself. She'd built this entire illusion of control, flirted with danger, joked about endings, just to feel something real. And when I signed those papers, I gave her exactly what she said she wanted. And now, she didn't know what to do with it. I left the phone where it was. Didn't delete the message. Didn't reply. I just picked up my bag, walked down the stairs, and shut the front door behind me. Quietly. Permanently. The funny thing about silence is how quickly it becomes addictive. After leaving the house that night, after seeing her phone, after closing that door without a sound, I didn't want noise anymore. I didn't want her explanations or her voice on the other end of a desperate voicemail. I didn't even want apologies. I wanted the quiet to keep reminding me of who she really was when no one was watching. And more importantly, who I had become when I stopped trying to be what she needed. She texted the next morning. I saw the envelope. That was it. No drama. No long paragraph. No please forgive me. Just that cold, clinical acknowledgement, like she had received a package she never ordered. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded a copy of the finalized divorce papers to her email with the time and date of the court appointment. I attached everything she'd need. The division of assets, already fairer than she deserved, my exit from the lease, even a line that said, "You may keep the house." Not out of kindness. I just didn't want to live inside the ruins of a lie. And still, I couldn't help but wonder, did she ever mean to follow through with her joke? Or was it all just another test? Another one of those twisted games where she watched to see how far I'd been before I broke. 2 days later, Callum showed up at my office. No warning. No message. Just walked into the lobby in some tailored jacket and cheap cologne like he belonged there. I was mid-coffee, trying to file a client report when the receptionist buzzed me. "There's a Mr. Callum here to see you. Says it's urgent." I told her to send him in. He didn't sit. He stood in front of my desk with that cocky energy I recognized from the rooftop photos, like I should be thanking him for taking Claire off my hands. "She's not okay," he said. "Whatever this thing is between you two, it's gone too far." I stared at him for a long time, trying to decide if I should laugh or just walk out and let him talk to the chair. But then he said something that stopped me cold. "She told me you were weak, that you'd never leave, and now she's falling apart." That should have felt like vindication, but it didn't. It felt like the final confirmation I'd been dreading, that everything I gave her, everything I sacrificed, was a performance she never respected. Even now, she was using my pain to bait pity from someone else. I stood up, handed him a copy of the finalized divorce agreement, and said, "If you're still around when she burns again, give her this. She might need the reminder." He left without another word. And I realized then, he wasn't there to fight for her. He was there because she already scared him. 3 weeks passed. Long, still, heavy weeks where I didn't see her, didn't hear her voice, didn't reply to anything she sent. She tried emails next, long ones. Apologies wrapped in confusion. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I thought we were just stuck in a phase. Callum wasn't serious. Then she sent a photo of us from 3 years ago, standing in front of that ridiculous inflatable Christmas penguin she hated. "I miss us," she wrote beneath it. But she never said she was sorry for using my loyalty like a chew toy. She never said she was sorry for laughing when she laid those papers down like a punchline. And maybe she couldn't, because saying sorry would have meant she understood what she destroyed. I never wrote back. I didn't block her either. I just let the silence stay between us. The same silence she once used to punish me when I didn't guess the right answer, when I didn't read her mind fast enough. The difference now? I was at peace in it. I started going on morning walks, something I hadn't done in years. I found a tiny apartment above a bookstore with creaky floors and awful water pressure. But for the first time in a long time, I breathed easy. I even started journaling again. Nothing dramatic, just lists of things I noticed. How my coffee tasted without her brand of sweetener. How my bed didn't feel cold anymore, just wide open. I saw Callum once more, alone this time. He looked tired. Said Claire stopped answering his calls too. Said she vanished one day after sending him a voice note that ended with, "Maybe I'm the problem." I told him I didn't want updates. I walked away before he finished his sentence. You see, the real ending wasn't when I signed the papers. It wasn't when I left the house. It wasn't even when I saw her with him. The real ending happened when I stopped needing her to understand the pain she caused. When I stopped hoping she'd change. When I realized closure isn't something you wait for. It's something you walk into when you finally stop looking back. So no, this story isn't about revenge. There's no grand explosion. No final confrontation. Just a man who quietly left the life that no longer fit and started building one that did. And if you're watching this wondering whether to sign your own metaphorical papers, let me say this. When someone laughs at your breaking point, it's okay to walk away without explaining the punchline. Thanks for watching. You're on Reddit Confessions, and now I want to hear from you. What part of this story hit you the hardest? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever signed something you never thought you would, tell us what happened next. Until next time.